Hey there, it's Lisa with your Wednesday video. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about um, how I came to be involved in the political world in the way that I am. I was raised in not a political family. My parents talked about current events more than anything else. I was three, not, yeah, I just turned three when John Kennedy died. I do remember, even as a child, watching his funeral on the television. And by the time I was 8, for some reason, I was very attached to Bobby Kennedy. And I don't know why or how, because it didn't seem like my family was overly, but I was very attached to him. And when he died and Martin Luther King Jr. died, it really hit me in a way that I didn't quite understand at the time. And then as I got older, I didn't really pay much attention to politics. And I really was someone who said, well, they're all the same and blah. And even in my early 30s, I would read, and that was before the internet, I would read like Time magazine or something to just kind of get an overview, but I really didn't have any interest in it. And I met a friend online, and he was very involved in it, and he introduced me to a couple of websites at that time. I met him in 2001, 2002 maybe. And he introduced me to a couple of websites, and I started reading, and I started thinking about things and looking at things. And it was at that same time that I went through that glorious dark night of the soul that took me down into a really deep depression. It was pretty dark. And out of that came my woo skills, like whoosh. Like when I came back out the other side, that was there. It was there, and I knew it, and that was the direction I was going in. And so my understanding of politics dovetailed with my understanding of myself as a spiritual being in the world, spiritual being in human form. And I began to understand that as I opened up spiritually and came to understand more about how the world works, and in concept we are all one, like in theory we are all one, we are different individuations of spirit and our free will and all of that, the more I could no longer watch cruelty and dishonoring of all humans, of creatures, like it really impacted me. I'm especially impacted by animals. I can't watch anything. I can't, like, I can't take that in because that will take me down. But I feel it. But I began to see how the threads mixed, and that if you are truly a spiritual person in the world, and if you truly understand the concept that, we're all here for our own reasons, our soul reasons, our personal reasons, we're all here for that, and lessons and yada yada, all that stuff. And we are all working on creating an idea of oneness. We came from oneness, we'll go back to oneness. And so I couldn't take that delineation of cruelty on any side, across the spectrum politically, regardless of that. It really upset me. Hypocrisy upsets me to no end. I'm a 29-degree Libra. I am all about things being fair and just. So, I have a real fun time walking through an unfair, unjust world. But I do what I can to bring things into balance. Balance is kind of an important thing to me. And so as I grew spiritually, I grew more involved politically, because the world was not the way I know it could be. And what part was mine to share in the creation of that earth. And I acknowledge that other people with very differing views than mine see the world through their spiritual lens, and they do what their heart and whatever is guiding them, their heart and their soul, and whatever is guiding them. We all have our part to play. We all have our part to play. And so I'm not casting aspersions on anyone. except there's hypocritical people. I will cast all the aspersions at you. But I believe that when you see life through a spiritual versus a religious, more narrow understanding, then you open a space to see how the world could be. And so the way to help shape that is through politics and is through speaking up about the things that truly matter to you. So I am very vocal on Twitter about how I feel on things. I mentioned in my email letter to my list, I don't argue with people online because that's just a waste of energy. They're just as entrenched in their beliefs for their own reasons as I am in mine. So I don't argue. I do speak my mind. And it's true, once in a while I do say something not kind. The worst thing I will say to people on Twitter is I'll go and look at their profile, and if they've got like 5 followers, seriously, the worst thing I will say is, I'm sure that your 5 followers await your next missive with bated breath. That's it. That's the height of my cruelty on Twitter. I don't argue though, because I'm there to learn. Like, I love Twitter for the fact that it's very fast paced and that I learn a lot from listening to a bunch of different views. I will say that my feed is skewed toward one direction, but I do look at other feeds and other perspectives. I do try to do that, you know, because balance, right? But I could not be, for me, and I speak only for myself, I could not be a spiritual person in the world doing the work of the universe and the work of my soul if I were not understanding how things work and how to change them for the better. And that could be in politics, that could be in anything really. But for me, for some reason, I just love the whole political thing. I just love it, which is so weird, but I do like it. And so that's where I spend my time, is listening. I listen to a lot of people. I read, I listen, I try to understand things so that I can run them through my own inner lens and my spiritual goggles. I try to do that as well. So that's how my world became intertwined with the spirituality and the politics. And I think everyone speaking out about the world they'd like to see. And again, whether I agree with that worldview or not, doesn't matter. I would rather their voices be heard. I would rather their true, authentic voices be heard. But I would rather their voices be heard than not. I would rather people be out there talking about what's important to them and finding the commonalities. I suspect that we have a lot more things in common with each other across political spectrums than we have differences. But, you know, everybody gets entrenched in their own, I am right, you are wrong kind of thing. And then that's where the logjam happens. And that's where people with nefarious agendas really take advantage. So for me, and I'm not saying this for anybody else, but for me, it's important to be aware and to be involved to the degree that I feel called to do in the political world. So if you ever run into me on Twitter, and you will have to know me to find me on Twitter. But I welcome you if you'd like to. You're very welcome. Just PM me or email me or whatever the kids do these. And let me know, and I'll be happy to share my Twitter username with you. All right, that's your Wednesday commentary. I think it's time to do some more channeling. So I will try to have a channeled message for you on Friday. Oh yes, thanks. I want to mention this. Prince came through last week in the middle of the revolution chat that we have for Aligned Purpose Revolution. And we were discussing, you know, what's ours to do when there's so much unrest and there's so much going on what is ours to do? And Prince came through and said that being a witness is as important a role as any other role. He said it takes everyone to make this happen. It takes the protesters in the street, it takes the policemen, it takes the politicians, it takes everyone. Everyone has their role to play in this scene. Okay, everyone has their role to play, and a witness, so like an audience, has a role to play as well. I try to be a witness who holds the higher vibrational energy for the best and highest outcome. So I don't just watch it and walk away. I watch and I see and I feel and I hold the higher vibration, because that's what light workers are actually here to do, is to hold that higher vibration even when things are very dense, and they are so dense. It can be very challenging. So if that's what you're doing, if you are a witness, please know that that's important. That's really important. And if you're out there protesting, that's important. All of it is important, regardless of your role. Okay, that's it for now. I will see you on Friday. Bye.